Holy moly, look at this parrot beak. This has just been growing like crazy in the greenhouse. It gets plenty of water. It loves that high humidity. It loves to be moist, and it is just overgrown, and it just needs a good trimming. So let's go ahead and do that. If you guys want to follow the progress of how this got to this point, check out this playlist right up there. It'll take you everywhere from where we bought it at the Great Outdoors all the way to this place today. So there's a lot to work on here. It's really just taking all these long shoots and cutting them back down. That's really all we're going to be doing today. So let's get cutting. Now with all this new growth, I'm just going to go down and cut it down to the first or second leaf. And we're going to, of course, throw these cuttings into the propagation station. I've yet to actually get a cutting actually propagated, so maybe they're just too long when I put them in there. I just throw them in there all haphazardly. You saw me. Now this tree has only been clip and grow. So while I do these prunes, I considered the directional pruning method. All right, look at that. Reverse mohawk. There are ants on this tree, so I'm suspecting that they were probably aphids or some sort of honeydew secreting bug on here. So I'm going to treat this with neem oil once we're done. Of course, we're still using Captain Jack's. Get the bottom. This is what I like about these ones that aren't in the bottle. They've got this nice tubing handle thing. You can spray upside down pretty easily with it. That is ideal. I do see some spider webs, so we could be dealing with those are bigger than spider mites. So either way, giving it a good spray down. We'll come back and we'll rinse this off in a second. All right, we're starting to see some shape occur to this tree. As you can see here, it's starting to develop this nice umbrella shape here. All of this will fill in real fast, real quickly. We'll do something about here. I like the slant here. Is the only thing we can really do with having the straight tree is lay it down on the side and give it some sort of movement in a way. And everything else since has been, with the exception of maybe, I believe this branch here was wired at some point. Of course, watch those videos if you want to find out how this tree progressed. But yeah, let's get into some detail cutting here. There are some extra branches that need to be removed. When you see them growing in like a 3, we got to get rid of at least one of them. And perhaps deal with this branch. As you can see, if we get rid of this branch, I don't think we're losing out on much at all, don't you think? Yeah, I think so. We're not losing out on much. So let's go ahead and get rid of it, shall we? Okay, so let's go in. We're gonna get a nice flush cut right up against the trunk. I want to press back on it so that we get a nice flush cut. Press gently and cut. There we go. You can see we're starting to build the branch structure there. You can definitely see all the different cut sites that we use to make this. It's incredible that all this movement was done in maybe one growing season just by me pruning it, letting it grow out. It changes direction and you get some movement in a branch. It's really cool. That's the clip and grow. This may be a good candidate for clipping. We'll see. Haven't had any of those work so far. Yeah, with the removal of that branch, we're really starting to see something come out now. We'll let something grow out so that we can have something back here, because right now it's empty right here. So there's no depth happening here. It's okay. We're still in beginning stages, so don't worry. We can always put branches where we want them. Even if they don't grow them, even if they don't grow in the spot that you want them to grow, we can make them go that way. But in time right now, we're just going to see if we can find one that will grow out. This always triggers another flush of growth all over the place. So we can always expect it to give us some great growth. Now let's check out this little area right here. So this trunk, so we have 1, 2, 3. This one is kind of with this branch that spurs off of the main trunk right here. We got to do something about it because the three of them together don't look great. But what do? I mean, if we were to take away the middle branch, we're losing a lot of the sideways here. We absolutely cannot get rid of that one because it's doing so much. Maybe we take off the front one. We're losing some front depth. It's a very hard call because it's kind of ugly there. And imagine that that's going to have an inverse taper. It's going to look really weird right there. It's a really tough decision that I don't think I'm ready for. So we're going to let it grow for a little bit. It's decisions like that that could be bad later on. You may end up getting rid of the whole branch. But at the moment, it's just too hard of a decision to take. You know what? It's not that difficult. You know, it really isn't that difficult. And I just made the decision just now, just thinking about it. Because I showed you, it's really not that hard of a decision. But we're going to eliminate this one that's in the front just because it's the weakest of the three. And that's what we're going to eliminate there. As you can see, that brought out this, which we can always just put some sort of, let's go ahead and do that. This is a great little technique. Get a little bit of pumice or something. Can you see this in here? I'm going to tuck a rock in there. Yeah. That's what we can do here. We can just go ahead and we'll tuck a rock or something in there. There you go. And as this tree develops, we're going to bring this branch down a little more. And that line doesn't look too bad there. So I think we're good with that for now. We're starting to develop the pads a bit. Just cleaning up old cuts here. All the old dieback. Looking at the branch structure here. Doesn't look too shabby. Things kind of organized. That can go right here. Completely back here. Yep. Clean that up. Not a lot of foliage here, but we got a lot more foliage back here, so I want to bring that balance back. But there's a lot of great branches back here. It's really hard to figure out which ones we want to keep, but I know we can at least shorten a lot of these here. There's a lot of great foliage right here. Well, I think there's a lot to consider in the future, but for the moment, I think we're at a good spot to stop and get it back in the greenhouse to fill out a lot more. I think we're pretty good for now. There's really not a lot that I can take off of this side to help bring balance. I'm just hoping that this balances out and grows as thick as this side does, because right at the moment there's really nothing to get rid of on this side, as I mentioned. They're all solid branches there with good bifurcation that's starting. So I think at the moment we're good to go. Let's get this back in the greenhouse, and there's one last thing I want to do before we end the video. So let's go. All right, this here is my Cedar Elm Yamadori. We called the Beast. We picked this up with Brandon Baldoff back in Lano, Texas, not too long ago. It's sitting in this container that we initially put it in when we got it from Lano. I've done a couple of chops to it, and as you can see, it's just sort of grown out, and I let it get a little crispy. Y'all got to understand it's been pretty hot for us here in Texas. Y'all understand it's been a pretty hot summer in general. And the trees have definitely been taking a toll, and I can't water them all at the same time. Just can't keep up with watering all the time. But today is a good day to go ahead and prune this up because I see life again. I see it's growing out, which means it's feeding, it's sending energy out. So I think it's time to just pull back some of these longer branches and start setting up some more future progression for this. All right, so let's just get cutting here. I guess we'll start with this bottom branch, which I've pulled down, and then I also did a guy wire, which looks like the guy wire was made out of cotton thread, which eventually stopped, but it looked like it actually did the job, so we're good with that. So let's go ahead and cut back all these longer shoots. This is one of 3 total trees that have survived from that Yamadori expedition. I think there was only 1 tree that didn't make it, but there wasn't any hope for that anyways. These are the 2 other trees right behind me here on the slab. Nothing's worse than getting a Yamadori and it dies on you. So, especially because you pulled it from where it was, probably living just fine. This one had some new growth on the tip, so hopefully that's going to energize it and bring some of that energy back into the branch. It's looking better already. Okay, so that should bring back some vigor to that branch. Just gonna pull all these back just a little bit. Okay, let's go back this way to the side of the tree. Start at the trunk, which has got this gnarly bark. This is why we picked it in the first place. And then we have these suckers here. And we definitely don't want these that are lower than this main branch. We'll keep one of these to grow out. And we'll get rid of 1 and 2. So it doesn't have to compete for energy. It'll just get it. We'll get that one out of here. And we'll do some carving to that one of these days. Okay, so moving on. Got a crisscross branch here. Even if I was to wire this down, it just looks too weird that it's going up and then over this way. Just like that. Okay. As you can see here, this was a root that was going up into the tree, just like the bald cypress had roots just like that. And I was able to cut it, and as you can see, it grew its own little suckers here, which now we can take those and make some more Cedar Elm bonsai. Putting that back there. Okay, you see how there's a little bit of growth there. Let's trigger that growth to grow back closer. So I want this to grow out a little bit. We're not going to pull this one back as far. One as well. We just want to cut the tips off of them to help stimulate growth back into the trunk, back into the branch itself. I do want to keep a little bit of the foliage on there, so that it at least can get a little bit of energy, extra energy if it can. Let's pull that back a lot for now. We got this guy. We'll deal with him in a second. So all these 2, we're going to pull these all back here, just so we can stimulate the growth. And it's going to fall back on these new buds here that I can see that are forming. Watch your face. Did I get you? Damn. Okay, so we're going to pull these back. The bones are looking okay on this. You know, the main issue I have with it is that it has, you know, this long branch. If I get rid of this long branch, we're left with this right here, which doesn't look too great, but I mean, there's a great bone structure there. I think perhaps in the future, this will be the front or something like that. We'll get rid of this back branch, or at least cut it back. At the moment, I think it's a good feature. Well, I don't know. You know, it's really weird with Yamadoris. You know, you want to try to, there's no wiring that I can really do that much. I mean, we got this great bark on here I don't want to disturb. So, you know, I definitely want to keep to doing clip and grow for this kind of thing. But, you know, there's work to be done, and hopefully we can get something filled out and get some sort of look to this that looks interesting. But I do like having a long branch. It sort of reminds me of the bald cypress, you know, and we can always cut it back somewhere, tilt this on an angle. Like I can even see it, like if we cut here and tilt it on an angle, we may have something. But right now, I think we're happy with what it is for now. That is it for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you like our content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. We'll see you guys next time. Be cool, stay hip, get yourself a hobby.